Hello there, everybody. I hope you've all had a wonderful work week. So, in completely shocking news this week, Google, that tiny little Northern California company that provides search, advertising, and other online services, was found to be a monopoly. Yes, a monopoly. I'll give you all a moment, as I know this probably comes as a shock to you, but yeah, now what? I mean, if you were to read the mainstream media coverage of this ruling, well, you might think a giant space alien had just been killed. I mean, headlines scream superlatives such as Google's huge defeat could change how you search the internet, 6 ways the Google ruling could change the internet entirely, and the monster is dead. But is it really? I mean, many of the articles speak to how this ruling is a little like the 2000 antitrust ruling against Microsoft when it was accused of defaulting its then web browser into the operating system of its computers. And, well, I do think this case is similar, but perhaps in ways that aren't what you think. You want to know a little more about what Google's monopolistic ruling means for us marketers and, well, for the rest of the world? Now let's Google and find out what Google's future is for Googling. This is a few minutes of what's new in marketing that might help you lead your business's strategy. Let's roll. Hello there, everybody. Robert Rose here with What's New in Marketing. It is, of course, what's new in marketing, but most importantly, it's something important in marketing that we think may help you become a better leader. And if we can help you or your team with content marketing services, including custom training, consultation, ongoing implementation of your content marketing program, get on over to contentmarketinginstitute.com and fill out that form. Let us know. Let's have a talk about it. All right, so the news came down this week. A U.S. federal judge has declared Google's grip on the search market illegal. They have been found to be a monopolistic business. Reporters and analysts alike were quick to point out that this is a significant blow to the Goog, signaling a potential turning point in the ongoing regulatory clampdown on big tech more broadly, and also paving the way for search engine rivals who've been struggling for a slice of that highly lucrative, wonderful, delicious online search pie. But many have also pointed out the similarities between this case and the 2000 ruling against Microsoft, when the company itself was found to be a monopoly because it defaulted its own web browser, called Microsoft Explorer back then, into the operating system of its Windows system. Ah, yes, Microsoft Explorer. The number one web browser still used today. Wait a minute, not so much. Anyway, are there similarities here? I mean, this court ruling does tend to focus on the embedding of Google into devices and platforms. Google currently pays Apple somewhere north of $20 billion every year so that Google Search is the default web search on Apple's devices. Additionally, Google is obviously the default on Android phones because, Google and Android are kind of the same thing. But it's also worth noting that you can change the default on both platforms in whatever search engine you would like to use. But do you? Do you really? But now we're getting into the details. As you might expect, just like Microsoft did, Google is appealing this decision, and probably nothing's going to come over this, at least for the next few years. So what happens is anybody's guess. They'll certainly go through all of the appeals and all of their, courtroom time, and that will take years to do. And in the meantime, guess what? There's going to be an election and on and on and on that could change any of this. It's also worth noting that when Microsoft was told to break itself apart from its computer business and the operating system business, it didn't do it right away. A year later, the original Microsoft ruling was actually overturned, and ultimately, 18 months later, there was a settlement where basically the government said, yeah, okay, we don't need you to break apart the business anymore, but what we do need you to do is kind of allow more competition on your platform. Open up your systems. And they did. And what changed for everybody in the meantime? Well, other than the launch of a few new competitors called Firefox and other browsers and ultimate replacement of Internet Explorer with Microsoft Edge, well, not that much, other than Microsoft continuing to get stronger and stronger in other areas. So what's likely to happen here to us as marketers? The answer? Not a lot. We all have enough to do right now in marketing and advertising and search and content, with way too much to do to worry too much about what's going on with our friends up in Northern California. I think the headlines are to saying this will have ripple effects to other companies like Apple and Amazon and Meta. Yeah, they're probably right, but the question is, those ripples are likely years away, and there will be plenty for us to focus on as marketers in the meantime. As consumers, probably mostly good news. In the long run, it probably means more choice, better choices, and more competition. And it will be very interesting to see what Apple does here. What do they do now? Do they build their own web search? Do they purchase somebody? Or does it even matter? It's the thing to remember through all of this. These kinds of big tectonic, big business earthquake shifts are just like real earthquakes. Easy to feel and see, and they can be scary when they happen. But they are incredibly hard to predict, and just because there's a big one today doesn't mean anything changes tomorrow. The next big one might still be the next day or 100 years from now. And that, well, that's a few minutes of what's new in marketing. Remember, it's your story to tell. Don't worry about Google's. Go tell your own. Well, and I'll see you next week.